Hey everybody, I am with the most recently voted out player from Survivor Kingston Road Trip, Gabe. How are we doing today? How does it feel going down memory lane watching this episode?
It's been really good. And we were just talking about how, it's been a while since this actually happened, and it gave me a chance to really like re-feel some things that were happening, how I played the game, look at, how would I play the game if it was going on now, if it was different. But really just to think about what occurred and the good memories that we had there. So overall, it was an awesome experience. Loved every second of competing and having it there. So, Luke, shout out to you. You did a great job, and your team behind you that helped put it together. So,
Gonna like really challenge you because it's even before this last episode. Try to go back to like the pre-merge where you're on like this OG emu tribe. You link up pretty tight with Clark, who's a friend of the I hesitate to call this a pod, but friend of the
mhm.
pod. Um, What was your like game plan going into the merge? Like, obviously you had that number, but then you had to kind of like lose him because of the way that numbers are looking. Like, did you have an idea of who else you wanted to bond with in this game? Who you also were working with besides like Clark, and then I guess Bear later on, a little bit of Bones maybe.
Yes. So early on, Clark and I talked a ton and schemed, and I was extremely upset that we didn't get to scheme and play the game longer due to how that whole situation went and ended up leaving the council during that vote and kind of cost him to get voted off. It was either me or him in that situation.
Hmm.
So I talked a lot with Clark, and that was my plan: was if we can make it through merge, um, then we can also pull other people. But at the same time, I had a relationship with Bones prior to going into this game. Um, and I guess later on we'll get to some more juicy questions. But I thought I could trust Bones, play the game, and continue on with him past murder. So we had conversations. Um, I want to say like one of the second or first events of wasn't caught on camera. We had a chance to talk about what would happen past being on separate teams and how we could play them together. So that was really the extent of the conversations I had had. So as you know, Tom is my uncle. So, but we didn't really get a chance to talk and play the game at all. I think he tried to stay away from me just due to the fact
Okay.
that I had had some conversations, and I think that got the word out that people were like, okay, he's really scheming, and he didn't want to be associated with that, which rightfully so. I was playing the game and I was talking around to see what the news was. So.
Yeah, that was, I mean, pretty marquee episode for Tom also, kind of just like going off and being like the super fan that he is. So
Mhm.
um it's a weird game trying to balance like your threat level. I guess for you, it seemed like like bigger athletic guy, there's a lot of these like scrambling challenges, there's some sprinting.
Mhm.
I don't think you shot a basketball. I'm trying to remember what your role was in that relay. So I don't think you were shooting basketball, but all this more sporty stuff, not too many slower puzzles or anything that like are
Mhm.
more equalized. Did you try to do anything to like lower your threat level from the first day, or did you feel like you just had the target and you were just going to ride with it?
I think I didn't have the target at first. I think where I went wrong was I had a lot of I like to say I'm a friendly person. I had a lot of conversations with different people, and I think that
Mhm.
came off that I was actually trying to play the game. And people saw that and say, okay, he's talking to so many different people. Elise, I think at one point in one of her interviews says like he's talking to so many people. I think part of that was just I'm a friendly person and was just chatting it up. There were a lot of times I was pulling people to the side or like I think a lot of people watching didn't realize how fast paced this timeline was of everything occurring. Because we would go straight from an event or a challenge into a council, and the time that you have to talk and I'll say play the game, plead your case, and get people on your side was very short. So if you were going to do it, most of the time, everyone saw your conversations happening,
Mhm. I mean,
unless
that
it was like,
definitely that explains why Capybara was so happy to stick together, is because they're like, let's not do any talking and just ride this out. So
yeah,
that's actually really helpful context for for Chris and I, like thinking about it, we're like, well, someone's got to get fifth place if you all get to five together. So, but for them,
Mhm.
that was actually just the best path forward versus trying to cut another way. That's really interesting. As far as like some of the advantages, I felt like some of the other like confessionals we got from some players, like Gabe saying like, I've got all these tricks up my sleeve. Like obviously at a certain point you ran out of tricks and you were just bluffing about that. Um, like trying to take that approach versus like, hey, look, like I'm a number, like just use me. You guys have to, eat yourselves eventually. Did you try to you tried to swing over, I think it was Adam from the Capybara tribe. Was anybody else receptive or even like willing to have a conversation about that? You mentioned Bones maybe was a possible ally there.
Yes. So, and we'll talk prior to me getting voted off. I will say I had some sticky fingers, and I've got a keen eye
I
for
was gonna
everything
ask.
around. So
Some technical errors, but Gabe should be right back.
I found a lot of advantages. So even at that first challenge that I said I was talking with Bones, the place that we were standing was right next to a fence that had a dead tree on the other side. I was moseying around, just just sitting there, and moved a piece of bark. Inside was an idol, was an immunity, um, and I picked it up and pocketed it. And I think one of the cameras saw it and said, "Hey, can you put that back down and film it again?" Anyways, Bones saw that I'd found it, and turns out it was for the Red Tribe, um, and it wasn't for my tribe. So they were like, "Hey, you're gonna have to put it back. Like you can't do that." Um,
You
that was
really
the
can't
tribe
hide
that.
anything from you.
Yep,
That's
yep.
crazy.
That it was the tribe that Bones was in. So I was like, Bones, pick that up. So I knew that he had one for a while, and that was the point that I was like, oh, I can trust him. Like, I found an idol, and I was like, hey, take it. Like, I'm gonna know you're gonna have one, but do it. And then from then on, I kind of just always had my eyes open for what was going on. In spots that honestly some people were just walking over them. So I did. I had found a lot of those, and going into the council where I kind of knew that target was on my back, I was next up. Um, and I'd gotten out a few others with using my idols in a certain way. I thought, for the life of me, I had pulled Bones to my side as well as Tom. And going future into the game, I was thinking, okay, if I can get Bones, Tom, and Bear on my side,
Right.
we're
With
gonna
the extra
have
vote too.
with the extra vote too. I was I was saying we should vote off Mandy, and
Oh, interesting. Okay.
yes,
That was gonna be my next
that was my
question.
push. That was my push. Was hey, let's vote off Mandy, um, and I fully convinced was convinced going into the council where I was voted off that I had pulled them to my side, used my extra had the majority of votes, and then going from there, hey, we're gonna have the majority of people, we're good, like we can run with it. But hey, that's how survivors played. They played the game
Yeah.
very well, and they caught me at a blind side. So I think at the cameo right after I got voted off, I said like, hey, I thought I had pulled him to my side, but I was fully convinced that they were on my side. So
Yeah. I would hate to be in that spot, but I have a lot of sympathy for it. I'm curious, like you and Mandy, I guess spent a good chunk of the game together, starting together. Was there any conversation trying to link up that you were together on the bottom of like this dominant capybara tribe, to get on the same page where, even if she wanted you out also, um, like she could use you and you could use her as shields to get a little further in the minority?
no, so I think after the merge, the conversations I had with Mandy weren't many at all. Um, I think that's when I started seeing like, okay, I can play the game, but there is a target on my back as it is now. I knew there were conversations happening, but her and Elise, I think were pretty close. Um, and so I just didn't get a chance to have any conversations to pull her aside and say, hey, let's try to stick together. Let's try to scheme this out. But no, what
Would
I
you
wish, yes.
yeah, you mentioned right after that you'd like want to fix some things. You mentioned at the top of this call that there's maybe areas you'd want to improve on. Would you
Mhm.
play again, give it a chance?
100%. Um, I won't give away what strategies or what I would do
Oh,
if
of
I was
course
going to
not.
play again. Um, but I think I would change a few things, and I know how I would operate a little bit better. So
Absolutely. What else did maybe you wish was like shown about your game that we didn't get to learn about while watching?
let's see. I didn't watch a ton of Survivor prior to going into this. So I think I did miss out on a lot of how people interact with other players, but I was pretty much an open book. I think people thought I was having a lot. Again, I said it earlier. People thought I was having a lot of schemy game
Yeah,
conversations.
you were more just like a social butterfly than like
Yeah,
a
exactly.
master manipulator, puppet,
Yeah,
puppet master.
yes, exactly.
That's fair.
I think they thought I was calling a lot of
Well,
shots that
and I mean,
I
in their
wasn't.
defense, also like just being friendly and social with a lot of people can be dangerous as a jury threat too. So even if you're not scheming, if you're making friends, those are people that are going to vote for you to win the game eventually. So it still could be threatening in that way.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. And I honestly, again, saying I hadn't watched a ton of Survivor, didn't realize how big of a part the jury is when it comes to in game. So
Incredible. Well, thank you so much for making time to talk about it. I know it's going a little bit deeper into the memory well, but yeah, I'm very excited to see how the rest of the season turns out. Of course, you're going to be one of the later members in the jury, so that's going to be hopefully a very fun time. I'm curious to see what this final tribal looks like. Hopefully get some like OG throwbacks, like the jury like really grilling them in the final tribal. I would love that. Some drama, fireworks. I know you can't
I,
say anything else about that.
yeah, I will say to hold on tight and get ready for a final episode because it is amazing. So
Sweet. Thanks so much, Gabe.
yeah,
All the best.
absolutely.